Today we're going to talk about quantitative data. Let's look at a frequency table. Our variable is SAT Math, and we have 300 to 800. From this table we can see that we have 12 people that had a 300 to 399 on their SAT Math, 10 people that had between 400 and 499, 21 between 500 and 599, and so on. Now what we want to do is we want to graph this data. And to do this, we're going to use a histogram. So there's our frequency table, and there is a histogram. Now, on a histogram, on the x-axis is our variable, so SAT Math scores. And notice that I have 350, 450, 550. Those are the midpoints of the ranges on our SAT Math scores from our frequency table. On the y-axis, we have frequency. So we can see that on the first bar we have 12 people that had between a 300 and a 399. We had 10 people between 400 and 499, and so on. Now, unlike a bar chart, a histogram's bars will touch each other, and they must be in numeric order. Since we're dealing with quantitative data, numeric variables, the data has to go from lowest to highest. Now, to do this on the calculator, we're going to go to our stat lists, and we're going to type in our 350, 450, 550, which are the midpoints since we have a range in our x variable. In L2, we're going to type in our frequency. We're going to go to stat plot. We're going to turn it on. We're going to use the third option, the third type, which is a histogram. Our x list is L1, and our frequency is L2. Now, if we have just a list of data, our frequency would just be a 1. Hit zoom 9, and there is our histogram. Now you may have to go to window and change it a little bit so that you can see the entire histogram. Another way you could graph quantitative data is with a stem and leaf plot, also known as a stem plot. Let's take the numbers 300 to 399. We have 12 people that were in that range. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the first two digits of our data. We're going to go 30, 31, 32, and so on. That is the stem. And on the right side is our leaf, which is the last digit. Looking at our first one, we have 30 with a 2. This represents 302. So we have a person that had a 302 on their SAT Math. On the second row, we have 31256. That represents 3 people with scores of 312, 315, 316, and so on. Now, we could split the stem plot in case we have a lot of data in a certain range of numbers, like the 310s, and we can break it up into 30 from 0 to 4, and then the second 30 would be from 5 to 9. Same with the 31s and the 32s. So you can notice that the 31s, we have 31.2, which is 312. We have 31.5, which is 315, and 31.6, which is 316. We could also do a side-by-side stem plot. Let's say we broke up the data into males and females. So on the female side we have 302, which is an SAT Math score, a 312, a 315, a 316, a 325, and a 328. Now on the male side, notice that the numbers are a little different here. We still have to read it as 30, and then we have a 1. So that would be 301. We have another 301, and then we have a 303. On the second row we have 305 and a 308. Another way you could represent quantitative data is using a dot plot. And what you do here is, again on the x-axis you have your scores, and you're going to just draw a dot for each particular score. So this won't be a range of data, this will be actual individual data. So notice at 450 we have a dot, so that means that somebody scored a 450. Right next to it, it looks like it would probably be about a 460, since we have from 450 to 500 is our range in this area. So probably looking at these dots representing tens of points. So the first one here, 450, is 450, and the one next to it is 460. Then we have a blank, that means nobody scored a 470. Next one was a 480. Next one's a 490, then we have 500. Notice at looks like 520, we had 5 people that got a 520 on their SAT Math. Another way to look at quantitative data is using a time plot, and this typically is used when you're dealing with time. So look on the x-axis, we have year, and then the y-axis we have our actual data. At 1993, looks like we had about $52,000 profit. 1995 looks like we were at $81,000 profit, and so on. Now what's important about this is that we can see a trend as time goes on.